a victor's crown can also mean sometimes having a bullseye on your back. This is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of the Torah portion of Bamidbar in the wilderness. Let's go back to Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 1, beginning with verse 4. And a man from every tribe should be with you, each one the head of his father's house. And these are the names of the men who will stand with you. And then I'm not going to try to read all of these names. They're there for you to read. Beginning with verse number 5, from Reuben and from Shimon, Yehuda, Issachar, etc. Each tribe there is a particular individual who is to stand as a tribal representative. And it says in verse 16, these are the ones called from the congregation, leaders of their fathers' tribes, heads of the thousands of Israel. And Moshe and Aaron took these men who were called by name, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second new moon, and they declared their ancestry by clans, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names from 20 years old and above, each one head by head. The goal here is said in verse 2 to take a census of all the Edut B'nai Israel, all of the children of Israel, the congregation. To count the congregation, you have to go head by head. The interesting thing about being counted is that as your head is lifted up, you are singled out for a moment, a brief moment perhaps, but for that moment, you're the one whose name is being called. You're the one who is being singled out. And if heaven, the throne of heaven, the voice of Yah is individually naming you, calling you, signifying you, counting you, then also know that as you are crowned or given opportunity, recognized for your achievements, your adversary also takes note. In that respect, you may have a bullseye put on you, a target, and your adversary, Hasatan, may be saying, what are they up to? I need to watch that one. We need to kind of whittle that one down to size before they get too far advanced in their agenda. That is the whole story of the book of Job. Yah says, you watch this guy? Have you been paying attention? Look at how well he is doing. Right then and there, Hasatan said, yeah, I know him, and he was given an opportunity to put a bullseye on Job's back. There are times that we've encountered overcoming, victory, achievement, only to find ourselves going through the aftermath. Let's think about Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet. He has just achieved an amazing victory at Mount Carmel. The prophets, the priests of Asherah and Baal have been destroyed. Yah has answered by fire the prophet's prayer. Israel has fallen on their faces and cried out that Yahweh is Elohim, a major, major achievement right in the throat of Baal worship. The land had been years without rain. Now rain has come. Victory has been assured. It would have been a great time for Eliyahu to walk in to Ahab's court, point his finger at Jezebel, and announce her doom and her destruction, when in fact the reverse of that took place. The message came from this evil witch of a queen saying, I'll have you dead by this time tomorrow. Further demons were unleashed, and the prophets begging to die. I've done all that I need to do. Just let me go. Yah's not through with the man. The testing of victory can be severe. Yeshua in Luke chapter number 4 has just been announced to all who have ears to hear that he is indeed the Lamb of Elohim, that he has come to take away the sin of the world. Yochanan the Immerser, John the Baptist, has stood and powerfully proclaimed his identity, And the eyes of all are upon him. Let's also understand the adversary is very much aware of who he is at this point. And it says in chapter 4, Luke, verse 1, Yeshua, being filled with the set-apart Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, and being tried for 40 days by the devil. And in those days he did not eat at all, and afterward, when they had ended, he was hungry. And then comes the testing. Let's talk about your agenda, Yeshua. You can get the job done, but you don't have to take the hard road here. We can help you get your agenda accomplished, an easier path. It's the same lies that were told in the garden at the tree, where the first Adam failed. The last Adam here, Yeshua, cannot fail and pass the test because he used the Word as he is indeed the Word. But he passed the test. We would read this discourse and this testing. If it was not a legitimate test for him, it wouldn't count. Somehow we get in our mind, well, Yeshua just glibly quoted the word and passed it off by the waving of the back of his hand and said, get out of here, I'm done. It had to appeal to him firmly enough that it was an actual temptation. Or again, if it's no temptation, then it's not a temptation. It had to sound reasonable to the flesh Yeshua was residing in. An easier path, a legitimate opportunity. He had to consider it, at least to some element of degree. But he resisted the path that was offered and stuck to the Father's plan. There's a different story that maybe we don't think of that much. It's over in the book of Titus, if you will. Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul, is writing to this young man. And in verse 4, he says, I'm writing to you, Titus, a genuine child according to our common belief. Favor, compassion, peace from Elohim the Father and from the Master Yeshua Messiah, our Savior. And then he says in verse 5 something I've always been struck by. The reason I left you in Crete was that you should straighten out what was left undone and appoint elders in every city as I commanded you. He lists the qualifications of one that is to be an elder. The straightening out of the part that is left undone. If Rav Shaul was in Crete, if he had given the message of the Gospels and the message of Yeshua, if he'd been teaching the Torah in Crete, why did he leave before it was all finished? He entrusted this testing of the word preached, this functioning of a congregation to a young man. And basically, he, in so many words, he was putting Titus in a den of lions. It says later on in verse number 10, for there are many unruly men, senseless talkers, deceivers, especially those of the circumcisions, whose mouth must be stopped, who's upset entire households, teaching what they should not teach for the sake of filthy gain. And one of them, a prophet of their own, said, Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, and lazy gluttons. Well, that's almost Lashon Hara. But then Rav Shaul says, well, their witness is true. That's verse 13. I've always read that and just have to laugh. He says, therefore rebuke them sharply in order for them to be sound in the belief. Titus, get the job done. Test the mettle of what's been preached. Stand firm in the calling that you have. Rebuke those that need rebuking. Set things in order. Raise up men to help you. All of this is to strengthen the congregation. After the victory has been won, do the things that set things in order. Count the men that need to be counted. And establish firmly a good foundation for them. These are things that we need to employ ourselves. We'll see you again tomorrow. To then, shalom.